I'm Allendale's chief meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. Taking a look at the latest model information into us here. I think we really have to zero in on the month of April with regard to moisture. Forecast models are setting up and saying across the Corn Belt we actually are going to be seeing decent moisture come through, especially now through the 15th. Systems every couple of days or so, starting with one a little bit later this week, Thursday, Friday, then another one early next week. A good stretched out system for the 9th through the 10th and 11th late next week. Then you've got another system maybe trying to pop up late the 12th, one the 14th. You get the idea. That's what the models say. Here's what I'm looking at, though. So far, all of this moisture is promised, and there's not much to back it up. What I mean is this. We've actually seen a good chunk of the Corn Belt be below normal with regard to precipitation through the month of March. Areas that have been above have been down along the Ohio River and back into extreme southern parts of Missouri and southern parts of Illinois. And that's where we've seen better moisture develop. So we have a fairly dry scenario here. It doesn't mean that we are going to have problems going forward, but it does mean the first system that comes in, so the one a little later this week, is actually going to have a decent amount of moisture associated with it to overcome the dry atmospheric profile and really get something going. Now, I think that can happen, but I think the way the models are talking right now, they're talking about 1 to 2 inches of rain over the next 2 weeks. I'm going to skew my thoughts back a little bit. I'm going to say maybe a half to 1 in a lot of places. Now, I will say this. 24 hours ago, I was thinking, you know what, we may make it to the 15th and have a large chunk of the Corn Belt under 3/4 of an inch. That's probably not quite the case. We've actually seen an increase in the moisture on the models over the past 24 hours. There's been a good agreement with that. So I guess I'm not going to be super dry like that. But I am also going to say, look, it's probably not going to be as good as what some of these zealous models are saying. We'll see what confirming model runs say here in the days ahead. The other thing to pay attention to, temperatures. You know what? We're getting back close to normal, but generally speaking, even in areas where we're seeing the milder push, we're not that much above normal. Eastern parts of the Corn Belt actually staying below. The biggest warm air pushes have been in the northern plains and into the upper Midwest so far. So I think you've got to look at April still on track to be mostly below normal. Temperatures pull back big time starting tomorrow, or rather Thursday, in the northern plains, and then we'll see that cooler air spread across the rest of the Corn Belt. So that's another thing to pay attention to. It's going to be hard to get soil temperatures to move exceptionally fast if we don't take our actual air temperatures and move them to normal or above normal levels, at least normal at this point. International weather continues to look okay with regard to wheat planting in Australia. As we kind of mentioned in our online write-up this morning, we're seeing the 10-day maps pull back on some moisture in Western Australia. That's because the first waves that are coming with the increased moisture have passed through. And so we're going to take a little bit of a break. Eastern parts of Australia, New South Wales, Victoria still have some decent moisture coming. I'm also looking for the pattern to reload and maybe bring another wave of moisture into Western Australia as we get toward mid-month. So we'll have to watch that very, very closely. All told, as they really start to look at throwing seed in the ground in a hot and heavy way, the moisture conditions there, the soil conditions are much better than they have been. South America is boring right now. Not a lot to talk about. Got some scattered moisture in Argentina, but the crop looks good there. Brazil still has the same kind of moisture around that it has had. I really think that South American weather is taking a backseat. One of the things we will be watching in the weeks ahead, though, is going to be any kind of sign of an early cold push. That'll be key, mostly in Argentina. So that's where we're going to kind of start to focus there, is on any cold air coming into Argentina and over into the Black Sea region, moisture into eastern parts of Europe and far western Russia and former Soviet Union areas. Ukraine still looks good, but we still have this hole over a large part of Russian grain areas, eastern parts of the central region, even extreme eastern parts of the southern region. Then you got the Volga region, the country of Kazakhstan as well. All of those not exceptionally moist here over the next 2 weeks. So we still have some issues there with regard to planting. And that's the way things are stacking up. If you've got any questions on the weather, give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.